There was a dust up in New York recently at our old familiar airport, LaGuardia. I want you to watch the entire video because this thing was completely avoidable. But I'm going to talk to you about what was going on in the cockpit while this takes place. Let's watch.
Airport 124, ready tower, 104, line 48, Delta 54, follow 131.
104, line 48, number 4944.
Delta 5305, contact near departure.
Departure, Delta 5305.
Here comes Spirit Airlines landing on runway 31 at LaGuardia. Watch what happens next.
Airway 472, hold shuttle, runway 4 at Papa. 4 Papa. Airport 32, hold shuttle, runway 4 at Papa.
Hold on, we're trying to land or give me a hold short while I'm trying to land. You know why we have problems with that?
Okay, Spirit 472, just turn left onto Romeo, right Papa, hold shuttle, runway 4.
Okay, you understand that we have all these problems. We're trying to land the airplane, just giving me hold short instructions.
Spirit 472, need just the runway, traffic on a mile final, turn left on Romeo, right on Papa, hold shuttle, runway 4.
Stop down Romeo, right on Papa, which 147, 476.
Okay.
Spirit 472, holding position runway 4. South runway 4 at Papa, left on double alpha, contact ground 0.7.
Cross 4 on Papa, left on double alpha, contact ground, bearing 472.
Welcome to LaGuardia.
No, this is why we have the problems, man.
You're the only one that had the problem.
Okay. Let me rewind the entire tape because there's a lot to talk about here with what goes on with these guys. So let's pick it up from the point where the Spirit's landing. Okay. And there's a normal, back and forth traffic and line up and wait and hold short. And then Spirit is just about to land. Okay.
Departure, Delta 5305.
Here they come. And now here's what's going to happen next. They're going to touch down, and this is the busiest portion of the flight for any pilot. Touching down on the runway, you want to make sure that your wheels are making good contact with the runway, that you didn't blow a tire or anything like that. And the most important thing now is concentrating on keeping your airplane straight down that runway and smoothly bringing it to a stop. And we calculate all that stuff before we touch down, how much runway we're going to use and everything else. Typically, if you're going to be given a hold short instruction, and let me explain what that is. Typically on a runway that has another runway that intersects it someplace, many times the controller will say, you're cleared to land on runway 31, hold short of runway 4. That means you have to recalculate the distance of your runway to account for where runway 4 crosses runway 31. You can't go beyond that. It's a contract that you agree to ahead of time based on your calculations of how heavy you are and how quickly you can come to a stop. That instruction is never given after you touch down. In this case, it's going to be. We'll get right back to this, but first, a quick word from our sponsor, Incogni. You wouldn't let a random passenger walk into the cockpit and start flipping switches, right? So why are you letting data brokers rummage through your personal info like it's a drink cart? I'm Captain Steve, and when I'm not dodging turbulence or explaining why your trade table has to be up, I like to keep my personal data grounded, and that's why I use Incogni. Incogni is like having a co-pilot for your privacy. They automatically contact those creepy data brokers, the ones collecting your address, your number, probably your favorite snack, and tell them, nope, not today. Speaking of snacks, there was a recent data breach at Grubhub where 17 million people's data was exposed. This is the exact situation that Incogni protects me from. I signed up, and within a few weeks, I got confirmation that dozens of companies actually deleted my info. It's like clearing clutter off your radar. Plus, I don't have time to email 80 companies saying, please delete my data. I've got flights to fly and people to tell, yes, it's always colder near the window. So hit the link below, use code Captain Steve for 60% off the annual plan, and let Incogni kick those digital stowaways out of your life. Because your flight plan shouldn't include identity theft or a middle seat. And thank you again to Incogni for sponsoring this video. It really helps us to make more content for you.
Airway 472, hold shuttle, runway 4 at Papa.
Okay,
Papa.
he says hold short at 4 at Papa, and Spirit comes back and says 4 at Papa. So that's, again, they're super busy up in the cockpit. He doesn't say hold short of 4 at Papa. He just says 4 at Papa. He abbreviates the whole thing. So he's kind of acknowledging it's sort of a knee-jerk reaction on Spirit's part. This is probably the first officer on the radio. The captain is going to chime in here in a minute. That's the gruff, angry voice that you hear. Most likely, that's my guess. It's the captain. And he's going to say, we've got a problem. And it's because you're giving me instructions in the busiest portion of my flight. I'm tunnel visioned right now on staying on the runway and staying on the center line. And you guys are blurting out a whole bunch of instructions.
Spirit 432, hold for runway 4 at Papa.
Hold on, we're trying to land or give me a hold short while I'm trying to land. You know why we have problems with that?
Yep. And you know what? He probably shouldn't have said it that way, but I 110% get what's going on with this captain right now. You know what we got a problem right now? It's because we were supposed to negotiate a hold short during the approach, not as we're rolling out on the runway. And the guy up in the tower doesn't appreciate how busy it is on the runway, and he should not have given that instruction. He did. He got a quick acknowledgement back for hold short of Papa. Yep, got it. And then he calls back and says, verify, right? And now the captain kind of loses his cool. It's kind of unprofessional, but I want you to see what goes on.
Okay, Spirit 472, just turn left on to Romeo, right Papa, hold short of runway 4.
You understand that we have all these problems. We're trying to land the airplane. They're giving me a hold short instruction.
We're trying to land the airplane. We're trying to keep this thing on the runway, and you're giving me this whole long thing. And so my concentration is out forward. I've got to stop what I'm doing mentally, and I've got to listen to this long instruction. That's something that should not happen while you're rolling out on the runway. I agree with this captain completely.
Spirit 472, adjust the runway, traffic on a mile final, turn left on Romeo, right on Papa, hold short of runway 4.
Left on Romeo, right on Papa, which was 476.
Now, what makes me say that that was the captain, the angry guy? Because this is a different voice that reads back the instruction to turn left and turn right. And so it's probably the co-pilot that's reading that back.
Spirit 472, holding division runway 4, south runway 4 at Papa, left on double alpha, contact ground point 7.
Cross 4 on Papa, left on double alpha, contact ground, bearing 472.
Welcome to LaGuardia Airport.
Okay, this is where he steps over the line. The controller, unprompted, has to get a dig in. So he says, welcome to LaGuardia, Spirit. That should never be said. That's completely unprofessional. He's kind of poking the bear here a little bit because he didn't like the pushback he got. But this guy was in the wrong. And he now it begins to denigrate. Listen, here's what happens next.
No, this is why we have the problems, man. You're the only one that had the problem.
Yeah, no, he's not the only one that has a problem. And I would say everybody else, all the other pilots listening to that would agree with this captain completely. This needs to get handled over the phone, not over the radio. These guys should have a conversation afterwards to kind of fix the disconnect here. Hopefully they did. I would have, at this point, as the captain of this ship, said, give me a phone number that I can call you. And once I get parked at the gate, I'll give you a phone call and we'll talk about this offline. We aren't going to talk about this on the radio right now.
Ground Spirit Wings, 472 on double alpha, going to gate 4.
Spirit 472, LaGuardia Ground, continue double alpha to the ramp.
Double alpha to the ramp, sorry, 472.
Okay, so they finally get off with ground control. I don't know how this got resolved. I don't know if these two ever talked afterwards. They should have. Again, I'm giving you a little glimpse of behind the scenes. We're pulling the curtain back, and this is some of the stuff that happens. It doesn't happen very often. I've been to a lot of major airports around the world. Everything is completely professional all the time, but every once in a while, you get a little bit of frustration that spills over, and you see how this one got resolved that day. And hopefully you got a little insight on how busy a pilot is on the runway, and controllers shouldn't give you a whole long list of instructions, especially a whole short one. This captain was thinking, if I have to slam on my brakes to hold short of that runway, it might do damage to my airplane. Yeah, I might have to have maintenance involved afterwards. Those are all things that he wants to calculate before he touches down, and the tower controllers should know that. This was an interesting look behind the scenes. Now you know. I'm Captain Steeve. Fly safe. Hey, don't go yet. Do me a favor. like and subscribe to this video. And a super big shout out to our friends at VASAviation for creating the video that we reacted to today. Thanks, guys.